Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and today, welcome to this preview of the iniBuilds A300 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're sitting here in the cargo version of European air transport at Leipzig Airport, and we're going to do a quick flight over to Brussels, which is a typical European cargo route. So, join me as we enter the cockpit of the A300. It is the 600 version of the plane, so it already has an EFIS available, but don't be surprised that it looks so similar to the A310. That is because the avionics and everything of the real A300-600 were inspired from the A310, so they wanted to commonize the two airplane versions. However, don't be fooled, there is a lot of different stuff going on underneath the hood, and we are going to look into some of that in today's video. So before we start, let's have a very quick look into some of the options we've got available by going to the electronic flight bag. Now, a lot has changed over here, so don't be confused with the A310. This is a very different airplane, and you will see that in the coming moments. So we're going to start with a little bit of basic stuff here, like for example ground equipment. We've got the ability to arm the doors, we can disarm the doors and stuff like that. So I am going to open the one left door now. We're going to put some stairs there. We'll also put on the chocks, and we'll open the lower cargo doors. Alright, with that now done, let's quickly run outside and have a look at what the airplane looks like and what kind of options we now have available for our A300. Alright, then join me on the walk around, please. And we're going to start right over here. The airframe is kind of similar to the A330, so if you see a little bit of knowledge in these points, that's where it comes from. However, it is not an A330. There is quite a bit of difference, but we will go over that as we fly along. So we're going to start with the static ports over here. The first thing we can really notice is the quality of the texturing. So look for example at the wing light over here, or look at the immense level of detail we have at the static ports over here. That's looking really, really good. Alright, then we can go forward a little bit, and the next thing we'll have a look into is the external power access panel, where we got the in-use light up there. And from here we can look down to the front landing gear and have a look over all the details. Especially important in the iniBuilds is that you take a close look at your tires, because the tires can wear down. So the more landings you do, airplane tires usually hold between 150 to 300 landings or so. So they get exchanged a lot. And the more landings you do with this, the more the tires are going to wear down, and you will see this happen. So when the tires are too worn, you need to exchange them, otherwise you risk your tires failing. And that is the case in the iniBuilds as well. Apart from that, really well done modeling over here. Also, if we take a look into the gear bay, then we can see some really good work done by iniBuilds in here. That's an exceptionally good model. Alright then. Coming further out, let's have a look at the probes that we got in the front over here, and these are what we got. And what I especially like seeing up here is you've got the avionics bay door in there, and then you've got another one just in the front. And have a look at that, it's actually sealed exactly like it is supposed to be. So we've actually got the seals in place on the airframe over here. Really cool level of detail. Then moving out a little bit, that's an A300 for sure. And coming over to the other side again, we have a look at all the probes over here. And then we've got the oxygen blowout disc right in the front over here. And that is something that we need to have a careful look at, because this one should be there and it should be colored. If it's gone like it is right now, then maintenance action is needed. So, quick comment here, I am recording this with a pre-release version of the airplane. So if anything does not look exactly perfect yet, then do keep that in mind. It is a pre-release version. Another cool level of detail that we see over here is the hydraulic access door of the forward cargo door, and as you can see, this is opened now that the actual cargo door is opened. Also, good look at the AOA probes over here, and again, very well done level of detail. Alright then, moving further, we got our static ports up there, again looking good. By the way, in case you're wondering, this is about what it would look like from the perspective of a person standing. So this is like about as big as I am, and that gives you an idea of how large the airplane actually is. Alright then, we can move a little bit further to the back, and we've got our air intakes down here, and then we get to the engine. Now the engine is a huge thing, that CF6, and yes, we do need to check all the single blades of the engine. And what I really like about the iniBuilds over here is that they've got these numbers on the fan blades. Now that is something that you see a lot in real life, engineers writing the numbers on them so that they can easily refer to the different fan blades in case something happens. Let's say, for example, there was a little damage to one of the leading edges, then the engineers can do repairs about that, but it needs to be marked in the airplane's logbook. And for pilots to be able to easily refer to the fan blade in question, you just got that number on it, and then you can compare it with the logbook as well. So that's about how these things are done. Really good looking model as well there. Alright then, let's move over to the side, and again we need to have a little look underneath the engine. You can see those two little, or those three little hatches over here, and these need to be locked. If they are not, then I'm sure you are going to remember those lovely Airbus videos of the cowlings flying away on rotation, and that's exactly what you need to look at when you are doing the walk around. Also up here, note the engine oil supply once again is sealed up there. Really cool thing that they modeled this. Alright, then we can move on to the leading edge of the wing, and we have a look over at the leading edge, making sure that there is nothing wrong, and then we can go further to the bottom of the wing, and then you will see this little thing here right next to that air vent, and this basically is something where we need to look into in order to see if that little cross is visible. So you can see there's a little cross there, that, and that cross needs to be there, otherwise there has been an overpressure inside the tank, and then maintenance action would be required. Alright then, let's move on along the back of the wing. Again, this is about my size right now. And now we get to the main landing gears. Now this, once again, they do wear out, so we need to have a careful look at them. And talking about wearing out, the next thing that is also going to wear out in the airplane is the brakes. And for that, we need to check the brake wear indicator pins. And I am looking for them right now. You need your parking brake to be set, otherwise they will not be reliably readable. But let's have a look from the front of the wheel. No, okay, looks like the brake needs to be set, otherwise we can't see them. That is realistic. Okay, so we need to come back to the main gear once the airplane is powered and once we set the brakes, so that we're able to check the pins. Now, you need to check the pins carefully because the brakes do wear out, and that is modeled in the iniBuilds. Just like the tires wearing out, the brakes wearing out is also modeled. So we need to have a very careful look at these to determine if our brakes are still fit to use. And just down here, that's what they look like. That is what they look like. Pretty hard to see, but here they are. And those will wear down over the time, and eventually they will go flush with the metal. And at that point your brakes need maintenance. And you can do that maintenance from the electronic flight pack. That is all modeled, and we will have a look at that later on. Also really neat to see, by the way, is all the details that went into the landing gear mechanism over here. And I am really looking forward to see that in action. Alright then, moving on to the back of the plane. Again, we got the cargo door over here. And by the way, that little red stripe over there is something that's a work in progress. So that red stripe that you see over there is currently from the paint. It is a work in progress, so don't bother with it, okay? Alright then, moving a little bit further back, we've got the aft cargo hold and the bulk, and again, well done over here. Little texture issue, but again, this is a work in progress beta version of the airplane that content creators got prior to the release. Okay then, so having a look over the back of the plane, good level of detail, and again over here we need to look into that, and we're looking for that white cross, and you can actually see it down there. Alright, then we can move further along the side of the plane. APU intake. Again, that thing can be opened when maintenance is performed on the APU. I'll see if I can show you something like that later on during the video. For now, let's continue our walk around, and on the other side of the plane we basically check the same thing that we did on the other side. So again, look over the tires, look for damage, and like that we are going to move around everything over here. Look for bird strikes, make sure that the gear pins are not in place, so this is where you would find them inserted, and we want to make sure that there are no gear pins in. As the airplane is currently not powered, we can see parts of the flight control surfaces hanging down over here, again exactly as we would expect it to be. And then we can move to the front, again have a little look into the hole down here, make sure that we can see that white cross, which we can, and then we can move further forward to the front. Again, one more look across the engine. CF6 engines fitted to the A300. Same engine that I've also flown on the A330, by the way. So I can really say this is a very good model. Can absolutely say that. Okay then, so that's the outside check pretty much completed. So let's go right up the stairs, and we are going to head up into our plane so that you guys can join me in the cockpit again. Alright, so that was just the very first look around at some of the different options that we got. Now, the next thing we're going to check before we are powering up the airplane is we are going to go to the back and the cargo compartment. So this is the crew luggage in here. A little bit of stowage space and stuff like that, and over here we got some of the passenger area. Do note the 3D models of the oxygen mask here, that's looking really neat, I have to say. And then obviously the most important thing on the entire airplane, the coffee maker. Alright, so with that now looked at, let's have a look at the most important area of the entire airplane. That is obviously going to be the cargo hold. So over here we've got both the cargo net, and then we also got that foil in place over here. Now, this is there so that fumes that might come up during a fire in the cargo hold cannot make their way forward into the cockpit of the airplane. And the net obviously is in place that in case some cargo turns loose, it is not going to smash right into the observer seats over here. What I really like about the iniBuilds is that they did model the control panel of our cargo door. So let's give that a look. We can look through here and see the door. Now let's put that open. Alright, so you can see the door has opened to the 70-degree position right now, and as you can see, that is actually what's selected right down here. So for it, in order to open completely to the 145, we need to press that 145 degree button, and now the door is actually opening to the full position. Also note that part of the netting over here has been removed so that we can actually walk into the cargo hold of the plane, and that is what it looks like. So really nice level of detail that we can find down here on the floor level. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what all of the stuff over here is when we are in flight, but for now, suffice to say that this is a really good looking model. Okay, let's walk back to the front over here, and I want to show you some of the different loadout options that we have in the airplane. So if we have a look at the electronic flight pack over here, and we go into the weight and balance option. Over here you can see that there is different loadouts that we can install. Obviously we can just take our custom cargo from SimBrief, but we also got a couple options here, like a racing team charter, aeropart transport, horse stable transport, and humanitarian charter, and all that lovely stuff. So today we are going to transport the aeroparts, and if we just click on that and apply that load to the aircraft, but let's do that now, then fueling is going to be done live. Okay, nice with me, but no, that's a bit too much fuel here, huh? 60 tons. Let's take a bit less. Let's say we want 11 tons of fuel on the plane. Apply. Okay, that's better. 5 minutes for fueling. Alright, now if we go to the back again, let's have a look at what the cargo looks like when loaded up. That's pretty cool, isn't it? We'll have a more detailed look at that in flight. For now, suffice to say that there's several different loadouts available, which we'll have a look at throughout the day. Alright, so that's a very quick look at some of the stuff that we got available in here. Now, the next thing we got is the My Flight menu, and in here we can import our flight from SimBrief, like now. So that's just the most important stuff that we have down here, and weather updates, departure time, stuff like that, routing, which is important for our FMS load up, and in here we can also access our checklists. So that's the normal checklists for the A300, which, well, do look kind of familiar to those of you who are familiar with older Airbus SOPs, right? Okay, so another menu that we can have a look at later on is the aircraft maintenance, and then we've got the throttle calibration. So in here we can calibrate our throttles like that, and we can decide on all the different menus that we want. So for example, if I want my idle position, I can put it right here, toga position right here, and like that I can set the entire airplane up. But the default calibration does seem rather alright, but it only starts at 50%, so if you want to do your calibration, let's go ahead and do some right now. Start calibration. Okay, set idle, that's where we are right now. And now set toga, I'm going to push my lever all the way to the front. Okay, set toga position. Like that, my throttles are now calibrated. So now, again, if I am doing my check on the joystick hardware levers, then that looks quite alright over here. Alright, so that's your throttle calibration, and then we've got these settings. So lots of stuff that we can control in here. Well, first of all, SimBrief username, Hoppy ACARS, coming soon. Again, I am using a beta version of this. Navigraph, I did connect it to the Navigraph charts earlier. Then we've got aircraft settings, amongst others, the IRS alignment time, automatic tiller disconnect, instrument linkage. So for example, I'm going to link the captain and the FO instruments, so that stuff like the QNH is going to get updated automatically on the other end side. Also in here we can reset the brake temperatures if needed. I'm going to use a 1,000-foot default reduction in acceleration altitude, and down here in the EFB setting we'll use metric, hectopascals, and we can use the on-screen keyboard or not. I am going to use it today for the sake of it. On the second page then we can control the maintenance mode, and we are going to set this to realistic. And this includes stuff like your tires wearing down, fueling in real time as we see it right here, and stuff like that. So this is all stuff that we can control. Down here, curved navigation display track. This is an interesting thing. The real A300, as the explanation says down there, didn't have the ability to draw curves on the flight plan. However, it is going to, for example, draw curved tracks when you've got a DME arc. So if I turn this off, then that's the more realistic option, and DME arcs are still going to be shown. Okay, real door arming. So that is, if realistic, it will arm the door automatically for departure during the engine start. If disabled, you need to arm them manually via the EFB. Well, We are going to keep this disabled for now because we're in a freighter, so we don't have cabin crew. Realistic autopilot disconnect. So that one will just keep on. And that stuff over here, not implemented in the version I have. The audios will just keep where they are, and that is our quick look into the settings pages down here. Alright, cool. So then let's just go to the weight and balance menu once more, and we are going to update this thing from SimBrief. And for the fuel, as I mentioned, we're going to take a little bit more, so we're going to take like 12 tons, let's say, and then apply load to airplane. Here we go. The fueling dialog should update in a moment. Here we go. Very good. Alright, cool. So that's our basic setup of the electronic flight bag. We also got a setup up here. As you can see, that's just really powering off, locking, and selecting panel states and adjusting the brightness of the tablet. And that's about the basic details that we got on the airplane. So with all of that now done, how about we actually go and take the airplane flying? Yay! That guy just talked for 20 minutes without even powering the airplane up. Alright. Then I would say we go ahead and start with our preliminary cockpit preparation. So the batteries are going to go into auto. We check for the lines. Hydraulic panel, confirm all the electrical switches are off over here. Wiper switches located here, off. Then we got the gear lever, that's down. The flap slats handle is currently up and agrees with the indicator. Reverse levers down, fuel levers off. Are they? Yeah, that's what it looks like, okay. So fuel levers are off, weather radar off. And that's just down here, that switch is in the middle position, very good. So, APU fire test, let's go ahead with that. Located about in the middle if I'm not mistaken, but let's have a closer look. Yep, that's the APU right in the middle there. Okay, and the script test, looking good as well. Perfect. Alright. How long is it gonna do that test? I just clicked the button once, but here we go. Okay, test is completed. Cool. Then we can now move forward. External power if available, connect, and it is available. We're going to connect it. Okay, cool. So APU, do we need the APU? Nah, it's 15 degrees outside. I don't think we will. Okay, so IRS mode select as nav. Then we've got IRS number 1, 2, and 3 going to nav. Alright, so then we can directly go to the IRS control unit, the one up there, and we make sure that present position is selected and that the display is selected to number 1. Then the oxygen supply can... Okay, that was on already. Was supposed to be turned on now. Next up we can do the annunciator test. Looking good. Alright, annunciator test is complete and the radios set as required. So the reason they want us to set the radios right now is because they want us to be reachable by air traffic control whenever there is something that's worth pointing out. Let's say fire that happens at the airplane without us knowing. Okay, so just gonna make sure that both are selected like so. Alright, cool. That's the preliminary cockpit preparation completed now. So now the airplane is powered and now we can go ahead with our flight deck pre-flight. So fueling should take another 2 minutes. What's it saying up there? Yeah, it's in progress. Okay, looking good. Well then, let's go ahead with our flight deck preparation. So first of all we go to the FMS and have a quick look at the airplane status. Do believe here we go. So it's an A300-600 CF6 engines. Database is current as of the time of this recording. It says align IRS already, so we'll do that in a moment. Okay, inner draft. And from here then, we are going from Echo Delta Delta Papa towards Echo Bravo Bravo Romeo. Let's put that in. No saved route, that's fine. Our alternate is going to be Echo Bravo Charlie India. Also fine. The position is looking good, so let's hit align IRS. Okay, so the rest of the FMS we're going to do at a later point, because now, before we actually fill out the FMS, Airbus wants us to do the entire flight deck scan to make sure that the airplane is actually fit for operations. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start at the bottom over here and then move up, and we are going to do that with all the 5 lines we've got in our cockpit. Okay, so no smoking can come on, seatbelts remain off as we are still refueling. Hydraulic panel, make sure that there are no white lights, the same goes up here, basically all the way up. Make sure to turn on the flight recorder ground control at this moment. So, strobe lights, auto, nav and logo lights 1, then we can move up, turn on the trims, turn on the yaw damper. Only the pitch trim is automatically going to turn off again, because the IRS is not yet aligned. And do look at this, the FCU is going to stay off while the pitch trim is not engaged up here. Okay, so then we just move up and carry out all the tests as we pass along. So, click the test button, thing is running through, we get the engine fire indication, like that. Okay, then we can also test the squibs, and they are looking good. Alright, and that leads us all the way up. Don't need the HF radio at this point. Then we can start down here. Don't need the APU quite yet, so let's just move up. Going to turn on all the fuel pumps. And just a quick note here. I'm going to shut up for now and just listen to the sound of the switches as I press them. You can hear it's all different sounds on the different switches, and there is even different sounds for the same switches. They recorded all of that stuff on the real airplane, and that is quite cool indeed. Alright, CVR test. It's working. Then we can continue down here, basically making sure that the system is in order. Window heaters can come on. Probe heat is going to stay off for now. And we can move further up. And again, we've got the fire test for engine number 2. And that stuff works just about fine. Alright, cool. Then I'm a little afraid of touching the squib now, because I have a feeling I'm going to pull the APU fire handle, which I don't want to. Right, cockpit door is open, that's correct. Then arm the emergency exit lights, annunciators are tested, we'll leave them on bright. Don't need the bleeds for now, and everything is looking good up here as well. Right then, leading us down onto the main panel. The flight director is on. We'll stay on the nav system for now. Constraints can be selected already, and we'll do that on both sides. Then going down to the main panel. 1013 is the correct QNH. I am going to set my altitude reminder to the field elevation, like that. Then we can move further forward and go to the main panel. Landing field elevation down here. And in Brussels, I do believe that's some 200 feet-ish. Okay then, landing gear warning test, could do that now. I'm going to skip over that though. But what we have to do is we've got these little bucks of the oil quantity. Now that one we are going to match with what we actually have. Now, the interesting thing about this is that with the airplane engine starting, they are going to suck oil into the engine, so the quantity is going to decrease on the indication down here. And the most important thing is that with maintenance set to realistic or to fast, the airplane is going to burn oil, and that is going to be saved. So on the next landing you do, and on the next, and the next, and the next, your oil quantity is gradually going to decrease until you reach the required minimum. When you reach that minimum, then, and you keep going without servicing the oil, then you will eventually cause yourself an engine failure. And that's modeled. I really like that. They modeled all that lovely stuff. Okay then, park and brake is going to stay pulled. Let's clear the pages down here, bring us back to the memo. Okay then, the next thing for us is to check all the different system displays. So we are just going to start here on the engine page with everything looking good. Then we can move forward to the hydraulics, making sure that we got sufficient hydraulic quantity indicated on the ECAM. Then we've got the electrical AC page. As you can see, external power is currently feeding the buses. Then we can have a look at the DC page, and again, everything showing normal. The TRs are feeding the normal bus, and the batteries are showing 27 volts. Okay, then let's move down to the bleed page. Right now, there's no bleed air source available, so that is as expected. Then we've got the air conditioning page. Well, 17 degrees in the cockpit. That is fine for now. On the pressurization page, of course, we are looking at 0 psi differential pressure, and the cabin is stable at field elevation. Outflow valves are fully open, just like they're supposed to be. Then we can move forward to the fuel. Refueling should be finished by now, so we can check our fuel quantity. Should have 12 tons on board now, and if we do add those up, then we end up just about there. Little rounding error, that's totally fine for us. Or actually, not even a rounding error, it's perfectly fine at 12 tons. Okay then, from here to the APU display. Currently the APU is off, so obviously we don't get anything there. But talking about the APU, what is quite important for us to check on the pre-flight procedure is moving back here. We've got the APU mechanical indications. Down here we need to check the oil quantity, because the APU oil is going to decrease over the time as well. So always have a look at that APU oil quantity. Okay, then we can move forward with the systems check. Flight controls, obviously not powered right now, so everything is off. And the controls are hanging down. The door page naturally shows us a couple open doors. And finally we have a look at the wheels. And on here we can see the temperature of the brakes. So 20 degrees is the nearest rounded to our ambient temperatures since the airplane has been parked for a while. Okay, so we don't have any trim applied. And with that, we are basically done down here checking our systems. TCAS can go to above as well. So now, let's go ahead with our FMS setup. We already told it we're flying Leipzig to Brussels, alternate is Charleroi. Cost index today is going to be 50. 50, cruising at flight level 360. And our call sign is Bravo Charlie Sierra 120. GPS primary, thank you. So the IRS has finished aligning now, as you can see. Now we can also turn on the pitch trim. That is going to power our flight control unit. Alright, cool. So the wind is going to be calm. We're riding a fair weather scenario today since the weather is so bad everywhere. I wanted to show you the airplane in its full glory. Okay, so Leipzig, depart, sit. It's going to be runway 26 left that we're departing on. Nav accuracy upgraded, thank you for that. So runway 26 left. Now let's have a look into our flight over here. So ARTAC 5 Sierra departure. Here we go, ARTAC 5 Sierra, and we'll insert that. So from ARTAC it's going to be Quebec 230 towards Coumer. Let's go ARTAC. Okay, via Quebec 230 / Coumer. Alright, here we go. And then it's going to be direct Tolta, direct Abami. So that's Tolta, Abami, and thereafter Zulu 717 Nerel. And then finally it is Tango 855 towards Batty. Not in database. I do believe I did that right. Well, let's give it another try then. Let's go into the airway menu. Tango 855. Batty. Alright. Suppose that's going to work as well. And then finally for the arrival, Brussels, Star. It's going to be an ILS Zulu approach on runway 25 right, since that's the one leading us closest to the cargo area. And we've got the Batty 6 Alpha. And I do have to correct myself, it is an ILS Yankee approach. Via Flora on the Batty 6 Alpha. Okay, insert. Perfect, and that is our routing. So, let's have a quick look onto the plan mode and quickly go over this, making sure that everything is the way it is supposed to be. And that's looking good. Alright, so that is our route in. Now let's go to the secondary flight plan. We're going to copy the active, and in here, let's see if we've got the ability to insert custom waypoints. Let's do Leipzig X4. Okay, not in database. Can we somehow enter custom waypoints? That's the question. Sure enough, this looks a little different here than it would in the A330, so probably not. Well, let's try with a place bearing distance waypoint. Let's go sec FPLN, Leipzig 26 left slash 261 slash 25. That works, okay. Then we can enter a holding up there. 261. Okay, insert that holding. And after the holding, how can we do new destination in here? Because normally I would insert an immediate return to Leipzig right now, but looks like this is not able to take it like that. Okay, well that's fine. We'll just leave it like that then. And not going to bother with it. Okay then, next up we can have a look at the, well, initially the climb pages. So mode is on econ climb. Descent forecast, we don't need to do that quite yet. Interesting over here that the tact mode looks pretty much like the pages we're used to from our more modern Airbus FMSs, but that's totally fine. Engine out, no, definitely not going to confirm that, so we'll just go for clear. Okay then. So that's the progress page. We'll check all of these later on again. For now, suffice to say that we're going to play with this later during the flight. Okay then, let's go ahead with some takeoff performance calculation. So we'll go to the performance. Unfortunately, it really only gives us the takeoff performance, no landing performance, but 26 left is going to do. We are going to keep all of that. Okay then. Interestingly enough, this apparently only gives us the real world information and not what we've got in the sim. So in the sim, it's going to be 0 at 0. It's 15 degrees. And the altimeter 1013. Okay. 124.7, does that sound about right? Let's see. Weight and balance. Next page. Yeah, 127.5. So that looks about right. Okay, calculate. So 63 degrees flex, 59, 59, 63. Alright, let's go at 159, 159, then 163 we can set right up here. Here you go, 163. Alright, perfect. And that should be everything. Okay, cool. So that's our FMS pre-flight completed. Final thing on here is going to be the FCU. Initial climb, I believe it's flight level 70, but let's have a quick look into the charts on the Navigraph app. So, Leipzig, departures. We've got the ARTAC 5 Sierra departure. Let's find that. Here we go. ARTAC 5 Sierra, perfect. Initial climb clearance, flight level 70. So 70 is in, and then for the routing, it's 262 towards Daesan, 261 to Daesan, then same track Delta Papa 525, that's what we have, and then towards ARTAC. That one is for the November departure only, so that does look good to me. Okay, perfect. So like that, we are now pretty much all set up. Something that I would like to see in here that is currently not there is the ability to pin your charts, but hopefully for an update then. Alright then, so we're pretty much done with all of our setup over here, so let's go ahead, start up the APU, and while the APU is starting, we can start reading our checklist. So APU master, APU start, and that automatically pulls up the APU page, very nice, just like it should be. And now the thing can start up. Okay, so we've got 12.0. So 0 fuel weight, 115.9, make that 116. Giving us 127.5 versus 127.5. Looking good. And the 0 fuel weight CG is right up there, 28.5. Okay, looks good. Optimum 349, cruise 360. Yeah, we'll talk about that in flight again. Alright, so that stuff looks pretty good to me. And then I would say we are pretty much ready to go. Alrighty, APU is coming up. Let's go ahead and get GSX and request our pushback and departure. Handling by DHL looks good. And just while I see it, we didn't erect the standby attitude. That's looking better. Okay, is GSX closing the doors automatically? It did for the main car. Oh, sorry, for the two lower deck cargo doors, but looks like we need to do the main deck ourselves. In that case, let's run aft for a moment. Okay, close. Perfect. And then the last thing is the bulk cargo. That one we'll have to do through the EFB, I suppose. So, okay, arm all doors, looking good, and chocks can go, stairs can go, and ground power unit. Let's see, APU is running, very good, and looking at the electrical, the APU is on auto, so let's get rid of the external and get rid of the ground power unit. Alright, looking good. With that, I would say we can go ahead and start reading our checklist. So, here we go, before start checklist, down to the line. Cockpit prep completed, fuel quantity is 12,000 kilograms. And that is balanced. Okay, takeoff data, set. Landing elevation, set. Altimeters, 1013 cross-checked. Okay, brake and any skid is normal and on. And windows and doors closed. Before start checklist complete down to the line. Okay, let's see if we can get GSX already or if they are still in progress. Okay, nose to the right, please. Okay, beacon on, before start checklist below the line. Beacon on, park and brake. Well, it's now released. Before start checklist complete. And we're starting the pushback. Okay, so transponder will turn on. And we'll just leave the default squawk in there. That should be absolutely perfect. Alright, we are moving. It's been ages, but we are moving. Well, as always when you're exploring a new airplane, isn't it? But I have to say that my first impression right here is that they did a really good job on the A300. Now let's go ahead with the engine start and see if that impression is going to hold up. Now, they did say that we should play or pay particular attention to the sounds during the start, so let's go ahead and do that. Starting engine 1. No? Okay. Oh yeah, we probably should turn on the bleeds. That should probably help. Okay, second attempt, engine 1 start. Here we go. Okay, 20% N2, we turn on the fuel. Did you hear that difference in sound when the fuel was introduced? Okay, engine start is progressing nicely, and the pushback is complete, park and brake set. Okay, good start, engine number 1. Engine 2 start. So let's watch it from the inside this time. N2. Oil pressure. N1. %. Fuel coming on. And watch the oil quantity decrease as the engine starts up and sucks that oil inside. Really neat feature they did there. While I'm talking about it, we did calculate a flex takeoff, so we should probably just dial that in as well. Okay, start a cutout, monitor 2. And just a quick thing there, performance 63 degrees flex. Here we go, that's better. Alright, so we've got 2 good starts, and then let's go ahead with the procedure. Ignition norm, APU bleed coming off, APU master also coming off, anti-ice is off, speed brake, armed, trim, 0 and reset. Okay then. Sluts flaps 15-15. And we can see them extend over here. So, little thing for us to note over here. There is no sound associated with the slats or the flaps extending. There should not be a sound on the A310 either. But back in the day it looks like Asobo insisted on getting one because, well, the kids like their sounds. But in the real world, you don't hear anything the likes. Okay, so then let's go ahead for the trim. 30.9, so that should be 0 units up, and indeed we've got 0 units in there. Alright, cool. Then we can do the after start checklist. So, pitch trim, 0 set, rudder trim, 0, spoilers, armed, slats and flaps, so we've got 15 and 15, ecam status, checked, anti-ice off, hand signal received. Actually, is there anyone still there? No. Okay. Good. After start checklist complete. Okay. Taxi light, turn off lights, clear left side, clear right side, and let's also turn the probe heat on now. Alright. Brake released. Then off we go. A little bit of thrust there. By the way, quite nice to see. If you have a close look at the gauge, you can see that little white line there. That's my target thrust indicator, which helps to set the thrust rather easily. Okay, brake check. Pressure 0, which is how it is supposed to be. The reason why it shows you 0 is because this shows the alternate brake system. And we are running on the primary, so if I would switch to alternate now, then you can see brake pressure there. But we are running on normal, obviously, so that's how that stuff works. Really like it. And let's also close that cockpit door. Alright, cool. Let's see, we are not going to scratch our wings, that's good. And then we're clear on the left side, clear on the right side. Let's see how our first turn is going to work. Okay, starting the right hand turn. Oh, it barely works at all. Okay, let's see, that's gotta be my settings. Yeah, look at that, I only got rudders, but no tiller, so let's just quickly go back into the settings. I do recall seeing some tiller stuff over here. Where is it? Auto tiller disconnect. No. Okay, can you move the tiller now? Oh, no, that's not it. Yes, that's it. Rudder controls tiller. Okay, that looks better. So let's go ahead and do that turn now. And then see how that's gonna work out. That looks much better, does it? It's a heavy airplane and a large airplane, so oversteering technique needs to be used, as you can easily see over here. Okay, that's looking much better. That's looking much better. And just looking at the memo display, I only see the no smokings. Yeah. Now the seatbelts are on as well, but it's a freighter anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we can go... Oh, that's interesting. Our position does not really seem to show right. Maybe on the wingtip there, that might be okay. Well, it's an in-development version, so don't worry about that stuff. Okay, we are going to continue all the way to the end. And then let's do the flight control track. Here's the page. Okay, so that's our recam down there, so full up, full down, neutral. So, full left, full right, neutral. And the rudder, yeah, is looking good. Okay, cool. So with that stuff done, let's go ahead and select Auto Brake Max. Speed brakes on, transponder is checked, weather radar, can turn on system number 1, and takeoff config test is located down here. Okay, no warning, so takeoff config is good. Okay, let's hold short of the runway for now, and then we can read the checklist. Man, my braking still needs a little bit of practice on this plane, but I didn't call the video first flight for nothing. Okay, so before takeoff checklist down to the line. Flight controls checked, flight instruments checked, briefing confirmed, V1, VR, V2 flex temp is 59, 59, 63 and flex 63 as well. Okay, slats flaps 15, 15 and takeoff config is normal. Before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. Okay, lineup clearance is received, then let's put on the lights. Okay, ignition will go continuous and packs will remain on. TCAS, Tara, before takeoff checklist below the line. Transponder set, TCAS, Tara, auto brake, max, and ignition. You know what, we can actually leave it off since we don't expect any heavy rain or so. Okay. Then, with that, we are ready to go. So one last thing over here that we can do is we can preset our climb speed to the flaps up maneuvering speed, which is 211 in our case. So let's go at 211 in here, and nav mode can be armed as well. Alright, and like that, we are now good to go. So, take off. Stabilized. So take a thrust. Timer is on. Take off thrust. Set indications normal. $100 knots. Checked. V1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Okay, accelerating, flaps 0, and slats 0. Okay, let's pull that up right into the flight director, maintaining green dot. Looking really good for now, looking really good. Okay, 3000 above. Let's go to profile. The target is now increasing towards 250. And we've got profile thrust and profile climb. Set standard. Done a cross-check, passing flight level 5-4. Well, 5-5 now. Checked. $1,000 to go. Let's go vertical speed plus 1,000. I just want to do a little bit of hand flying here and see how the airplane handles before we are putting it all on autopilot. Got alt star. That was rather early. Let's see what auto thrust is doing there. I'm probably confusing it a little, but don't worry too much about that. So let's see how well the flight director is going to guide the level off. Alt. Okay, that's quite good. I'm rather happy with that, to be honest. Okay then. Command 1. Let's select a higher altitude. Let's go 20,000. Profile. P thrust, P climb. So let's see how the autopilot is going to do these things now. Thrust is increasing. Slowly but steadily. That's how I like it. Something that does sound a little bit strange, in the true sense of the word by the way, is the sounds. I only hear engine sounds, but I don't hear anything else right now. Like, I would expect a little bit of avionic noise, of wind noise, and stuff like that, but I can't really hear anything of that. It might just be a limitation of the in development preview version that I'm flying right now, so don't be too surprised about that. I am sure that the final release is going to be a little bit different and that it is going to have all that lovely stuff. So, passing 10,000, let's take the lights off. Seatbelts off, even though we don't really need them, but nonetheless. Airports. Well, that's a lot of airports over there. They might still be using the standard airports in here, which is just showing everything instead of filtering for a certain runway length. But okay. Let's put on the terrain as well, by the way. Not that I expect to see anything here now, but just for the sake of it. Okay, we still got a heading bug to match over here. I keep forgetting about that, seeing that it is an Airbus. But we do. Alright, and that's what it looks like, our lovely A300. It's a beautiful little airplane, isn't it? Okay, so a little more stuff for us to do. Spoiler's disarmed, and we no longer need the turn-off lights. And that should be it, I believe. Okay, so we're on the way, we're climbing out. Flying rather fast here, 325 knots with a maximum of 330, but I did use a high cost index as well, so that is fine with me. Okay then, en route, let's use the moment to have a quick look at the system pages now that we are in flight. So we'll start on the engines, and we do have a little bit of vibration over here, but that's completely normal, so that's fine, especially when the engines are running at high thrust settings. Hydraulic page does look good to me as well. The pressures are not exactly 3000, they're slightly above it. I do like that, because one of my observations is that in many flight simulation aircraft the hydraulic pressure is just exactly 3000 psi, but that is not realistic. In the real world, they will vary a little bit. I've seen pressures from 2950 all the way to 3200. So all of that can happen, is completely normal, and is nothing to worry about. Right then, electrical AC, the generators are running. They are not loaded very high, which is totally expected, by the way. And here as well, slight variation in the voltage, 116 left, 112 right, and the right one is at 395 Hz, while the left is at 400. Again, completely realistic to see these little variations. I do really like that. Alright then, let's continue our climb, looking at flight level 360 for our cruise. That's flight level 360 blue. Okay, so going on with different stuff then, let's have a look at the DC page. And in here, both TRs running at the same voltage and amperage. Now that's something that in the A330 at least is quite different. The TR2 always has a much higher amperage than TR1. Now, why that is? Nobody really seems to know. The manuals also don't contain that info. I do suspect that it's because of the in-flight entertainment system though, which the freighter doesn't have, so let's see, maybe it's different in the A300-600 passenger then. Looking at the bleed, both packs are running on high flow. Now why is that? Do we have a sensible explanation for that? Did I just mis-set the system? I wouldn't be surprised if I did. Let's just have a closer look at the air conditioning system over here. Let's put it to Econ and see if something changes. Yeah, indeed. The pack flows are reducing, even though Econ should be somewhere close to low, I believe. But let's see. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay, it's a little bit less right now, but so be it. Maybe it's because the airplane is still in the climb. Maybe it's due to pressurization. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's see. Air conditioning, 23 degrees each, looking good. Pressurization 6.7, slightly climbing, coming up. That is looking alright. Outflow valves open a little bit. That looks good to me. Okay, on the fuel page, the inner tanks are feeding right now. The outer tanks, well, the valves are open, but we started with 3.7. It's still 3.7, so we'll keep an eye on those. APU obviously shut down. Then we can have a look at the flight control pages. I do expect them to be all somewhat centered, and indeed they are. Okay, then, from there we've got the door page. Obviously everything is closed right now, they better be. And finally the wheel page. Look at that, the brake temperature's slightly increased. I would expect even more right now. Like 30 degrees, that's only 10 degrees more than what we had on the ground. Now, if the A300 brakes are by any means similar to the A330 brakes, and I do suspect that they are, at least to a certain extent, then we should be looking at higher temperatures right now, especially because one or two times I did indeed brake rather hard. Okay, status page. And well, that's what it looks like. So that stuff does look quite good indeed. System's running well, the airplane is nicely climbing. We are at a medium-ish weight right now, 125 tons, and passing level 224. Still doing 1,600 feet a minute. That seems quite alright to me. That definitely seems quite alright to me. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the info we can find on our FMS now. So, I'm going to start down here on the modes. I'm going to climb right now, and gives me Econ. At destination, estimated at 51. Right now it's 10, so we're looking at about 41 minutes of flight time. That does seem fine, seeing that we're 11 minutes into the air now. SimBrief calculated 55, I believe. So that estimate seems rather alright. Destination fuel on board 7.2 looks good as well. We're in Econ right now. Let's see, if we select minimum time, then it should probably... What does it? Well, let's go minimum fuel. Let's see if that makes a difference. Yeah, it does. Look at the speed. Now decreasing towards 250. Well, we're going to go for Econ. Here we go. Also nice to see how the autopilot reacts. Like, it's a very gentle reaction that we're getting off the autopilot. And that is exactly what I would expect the real-world airplane to do. Now, let's play with that. Let's just go minimum fuel. And that should bring us, yeah, 250 knots. But look at how gently the airplane is rising the nose. Let's also look at that from the outside. You can barely see it at all. And now it's slightly pulling off the speed slowly. 3,000 feet a minute rate of climb looks pretty good to me. Well, let's go minimum time. That should obviously equate to maximum speed. And it's going 325 again. But look at how gently it is reacting. I really like that. That's how an autopilot flies an airplane. There are some which are just throwing you around where I'm always thinking like, yeah, what's that supposed to achieve, like, except from making everybody puke in the airplane, and in some cases even pull like 5 Gs, 6 Gs. Obviously a real-world autopilot would never do that. So just slightly climbing now, 600 feet a minute. Speed is very gently increasing. That is quite realistic at this kind of altitude. I do like that. I really do like that. Okay. Now let me just do something. Let's go into the settings, second page. Just increase everything. Okay, that sounds better. So guys, you do want to go into those audio volumes, and you do want to adjust them. Personally, maximum sounds just about good. It's still a rather quiet airplane, to be honest, but this is definitely more realistic now than what we had previously. I do like that. Okay, so 325 knots again, climbing at like 900 feet a minute. That looks alright to me. That really looks alright to me. At some point, when it will transition from constant indicated airspeed to constant Mach, that is where we are going to regain some of our rate of climb. But in the meantime, that really looks okay to me. Okay, so then let's just go back down into the FMS. It surely passed the test in here, and I'll tell you what, we're gonna go Econ. See, now it's aiming for a constant Mach number already. Okay, can we go next page already? No. On here, anything we can achieve? Nah, not really, yeah? Okay, so be it. Secondary flight plan, we can clean that up, copy the active. Then let's just take a little direct. And I did look at flight radar for the real world flight, and it did show me that they basically flew one straight line. So what I'm going to do is we'll just fly direct to Batty, and then from there we are going to fly the star. So let's do direct Batty. Alright, that does look correct to me. Okay, looks like we need to insert it up here. Yeah. Okay then, turning towards Batty. So distance 253 seems okay. The mileage is surprising me, like 3.8 miles. I don't really think so. But again, this is a work in progress version, so... Aha, look at that. It's redrawing the route after the turn. This is probably the distance to that point over here. So let's wait until we overfly this, and then I'm pretty sure we are going to get correct distance towards Batty. Okay, let's see. Yeah, look at that. 152 miles. That does seem alright to me. Let's verify. Yep, about alright. Okay, cool. Well, let's get rid of those airports because it's just too many of them. I do prefer this display, to be honest. I do hope that they are going to add a filter for those airports so that we can actually get correctly filtered runways that are only suitable for our airplane type. Okay, so what else is there to do? Progress page, let's have a look. So that's where you find the descent forecast. Distance to destination sounds familiar. Optimum 354, maximum 379, cruise 360. Yep, that also looks quite familiar. Let's see what happens if I insert the landing runway. Yeah. So that looks quite familiar to the Airbuses that you guys already know. Not gonna touch a position update here. What do we have on the fuel prediction page? Again, also looks quite familiar. 4.3 EFOP seems a little low though. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes once the fuel flow comes down. But we'll keep an eye on that. Apart from that, the rest of it looks fairly familiar. For all those of you who are familiar flying Airbuses. Alright. Closest airport is a really useful page in the real one, but obviously the real one is going to show you only those airports which are actually suitable for the airport, or sorry, for the aircraft. Okay, so we're in the climb. We have like 100 miles to the top of descent, so I do suppose we're going to take a small moment over here to run into the cabin once again and have a close look at what the 3D model of our cargo actually looks like. How does that sound? So, let's do it. We still got 2 minutes to climb. And it is a freighter, so we can open that door without any trouble. Well, I'd rather not touch this door, though. Okay, so, a few things that I want to have a small look at. First of all, we're going to start with the outside door of the plane, because this is actually pretty much the same as it is on the A330. First thing I notice here is really good texture quality. Like, look at that. It's really good texturing. Then we got the door arming over here. Interestingly enough, this is on disarmed right now, even though the door did show arm on the electronic flight back. That may be something for a future update that I am going to suggest to the iniBuilds developers. Got 1,000 to go. But let's just go to the back one more time, and let's just have a look in here. We can't just run through the cargo netting, it seems. So this is what our cargo looks like. Really neat texturing and modeling, looks really good. And I gotta say that I, obviously with my RTX 4090 and frame rate generation, I don't really see any stuttering or anything. But that is something that, at least over here, it doesn't look like there is any performance impact. Also, the cargo that we got behind here is also looking really good. Look at that, couple of markings on here as well, like we've got explosives and it's flammable. Let's see if there's any details on here. Nah, can't really read those. Okay, well, back to the cockpit. Just about leveling off. Then we can as well just shut the door down here. Thank you. Okay, so we took 21 minutes to get up here. And let's have a quick look into SimBrief. Gotta do that off screen. And the SimBrief flight plan said we should take yeah, around about the same time. Should have 6.3 tons in the tanks right now. We've got 8.8, but do remember we loaded up a little bit additional, so that does look okay to me. So apart from that, destination fuel on board is now showing 8 tons. Maybe a little bit too much, like only 800 kilos to burn. Not sure about that. Fuel usage right now just above 2,000 per engine. Looks pretty correct to me. I just flew a CF6 equipped A330 a couple of days ago, and the fuel flow was actually roughly in the same area. So even though this is not an A330 obviously, It is at least the same basic engine with a certain variant difference, of course. And I can say from here that the fuel flow seems to be grossly correct. I don't have any data to confirm that more accurately, though. Okay then, so we can take our TCAS, put it into below, and when we've done that already, where can we do the range? Here. Let's press that twice. Okay. Still 6 miles. Let's try that once more. Range. Okay, here we go. 12 miles below. That looks good to me. And with that, I'd say we are well set up for our flights. That's looking quite good, isn't it? I really like how the A300 is longer than the A310. The 310 always looked a little bit too squeezed for my taste. But the 300, look at that. That's a very well proportioned airplane, isn't it? I really like how this looks. The sounds on the outside, quite cool as well. Now, from the inside, for as much reference as I have for this type of airplane, on the A330-200, so the shorter version, where you're a little closer to the engines, you barely hear the engines at all in the cockpit. And that does seem quite correct to me. Like, it really sounds very similar. Obviously, the 300 is still going to be a little different, but seeing that the general shape of the plane is the same, so it's the same airframe outside, and the distance to the engines is roughly similar as well, it does seem quite correct to me. So I am rather happy with this. I'm really rather happy with this. Sounds do seem quite good. Okay, so we only got 40 miles till our top of descent. I do suppose we do a little bit of stuff now. So for our arrival, let's have a look at the star chart at first. Betty 6 Alpha, here it is. It takes a little getting used to that we gotta use the arrow keys up here. So from Betty towards Flora. We've got Betty, then Flora. So 220 knots. Let's see, there's a small note over there, number 1. Arranged to cross Flora at or below flight level 80 when landing runway 25 is in use for landing. Okay, so what we're going to do then, Flora /80, like that. Okay, now it's fixed at flight level 80. Good, then, out of Flora we do have an ILS approach. Yankee for runway 25 right. Where is it? Here it is. So maximum 250 knots over there over Fox Lima Oscar. So I'm not sure where the 220 comes from, but what I can say is we're just going to remove it then. So speed 220, clear. That's looking better. 250 below 100 is good. At flight level 80 is good. We can make it at or below flight level 80 actually. That's even better. Okay then, from there we're going to fly on 308 outbound until 10 nautical miles. And that is 308 Juliet, 10th letter in the alphabet. That's where that stuff comes from. That's got to be above 3,000 feet. Then we continue on 274 in Mount Uveti. And that's Uveti just over there, and the track looks good to me as well. And then we join the final approach at here we go, at Bravo 25 Romeo Fox, and that's Bravo 25 Romeo Fox, 2,000 feet, looking good for our final approach. For the missed approach then, let's have a quick look up here. So climb on track 244 at 700. Turn right on heading 015, climb the 3000, then as directed. Okay, so I've got 700 and then 015, 3000. Looks good. So that stuff definitely looks alright. Then, let's see, for the approach. What do we have over there? Minimum 302. Okay, and landing configuration, we are going to choose 30 and 40, no wind correction, we approach 132, looking good, and all of that looking good as well. So let's see for the go-around. We're going to keep all of that stuff. Okay, very good. So with that, our setup is pretty much done already. We can go into the descent forecast, but we don't have any winds today since we're flying with default nice weather scenario, so I am going to keep that stuff empty as well. Okay, finally ILS is going to be 108.9, 244 on the course, so 108.9 and then 244 coming up. It is 244. Okay then. Should reach the top of descent any moment now. Let's see what that is. Yeah, 12 miles to run. So let's go ahead, select the altitude down. We're going to start on flight level 250. And then we'll go further down in a few moments. Auto brakes, I am going to select low. And with that, we are pretty much done. So 302, let's put that in here as well. Okay, cool. So we're pretty much done with our setup. I don't think we've got landing performance calculations, but let's have another look. Performance? Nah, that's all just for takeoff. That's too bad. I do hope that they are eventually going to give us landing performance as well. I hope that's going to come. Alright, cool. So, can we, at some point, get our distance to top of descent? Got distance to destination over there? But the only thing I'm missing is like, what's our distance to the TD? I mean, we're approaching it anyway now, so it doesn't really matter. Profile mode is active. Let's see if it's going to start the descent on its own, or if we need to help it. But I do believe with the altitude selected down, it should start on its own. But let's see, otherwise we'll just overfly it slightly and then we'll have to re-intercept. Okay, top of descent should be coming any moment now. Here it is. Nope, we need to help it, okay. In that case... Okay, pull the altitude knob, profile descent engages, and down we go. It's calling me a retard, obviously. Okay, here we go. So, that's our VNAV recalculated, and we are on the way down. I just want to see what's going to happen if I do a shortcut now. Let's go direct to Flora. Insert. Let's see, progress. Vertical deviation plus 3,500. The airplane is diving for it, but it looks pitch limited at -5 to me. And if we look at this from the outside, that does actually seem quite correct. So 5 degrees nose down, that's the same limit we've got on the 737. Not 100% sure what Airbus did with the A330 now. I've never seen it go below 2 degrees anyway. But I never had to descend that steeply in it either. In any case, it is slowly diving for the speed, so that does look alright to me. And we can just take the moment. Yeah, we didn't read the after takeoff climb checklist. I'm so not used to having an after takeoff checklist anymore, since in the modern Airbuses we don't have them any longer. Okay, looks like it's still going for the profile. Vertical deviation now 2,600. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen if I am going for the speed brake. Let's see how much we can achieve with it. We're probably still limited by the -5 degrees pitch down. Let's see, what happens if I go level change? The altitude will just select further down. Let's go 10,000. I am inserting more speed brake. Okay, it is pitching down. Good. 5,000 feet a minute at that speed does seem reasonable. Okay, 1,200 feet above profile now, so we're slowly recapturing. Obviously 7 degrees nose down. Yeah, you can do that with cargo. With passengers, you better be careful. You can do it, but just be careful. Lovely also how the speed brakes look like right on the wing over here. Right, let's go back inside. That's our VDEF. So, speed brakes going in. Profile. PDES. And down we go. Okay, now it should re-intercept the profile. More drag. I don't agree with that, since we are 400 feet below the profile right now. Let's cancel that message. Okay, it's still flashing on the PFD. The message icon here is gone. It's re-intercepting the VNAV profile. That's looking quite good. That is looking quite good indeed. Okay, so speed is in limit, vertical deviation is looking good. So we've got our airplane exactly where we wanted it to be. Okay, let's match that heading bug. So not used to that anymore. Passing 20,000, we'll put the fasten belt signs on. Even though we obviously don't have any passengers on board today. But just be aware, it is good practice, even when you're flying a freighter, to use the seatbelt sign accordingly, because there can still be supernumeraries. Like, if you go to the back, then we are going to see that real quick. So, obviously, those jump seats we've got in here, 3 of them over there, 2 of them over here, they are in the plane for a reason. The reason is that in case you are transporting, for example, live animals, there may be people accompanying those animals. Also, there may be personnel that's being transported on the airplane. So, for example, there might be a pilot of your airline who is being repositioned with your airline, or there may be pilots jump seating to their location. For example, in case of the EAT Airbuses, so the operation that we're doing right now, pilots of the other Leipzig cargo airline, Aerologic, are allowed to jump seat on the freighters in order to get to work, in case they don't live at their home base in Leipzig but live elsewhere. And a lot of pilots over at Aerologic actually do that. So they might be used for commuting, stuff like that. So, as you can see, even though it is a freighter, that does not at all mean that there are not going to be any passengers on board of your aircraft. And for that reason, operating the seatbelt sign in accordance with standard procedures is still a good idea. Another thing that I just wanted to have a look at as we were in the back of the airplane is some sort of the level of detail that we've got at the roof of the plane. So just look at the amazing detail that went into the mechanism of the cargo door up there. Likewise, look at the amazing detail that we can see on the roof of the plane up here. Not only the lights that we've got over here, but also all the air conditioning ducts and stuff like that. Now let's do a quick experiment. We've got the lights over here. Now we should be able to control those lights through the control panel in the front up here, I believe. So, cargo compartment area. Let's press that. Okay, that's still on. Okay, that's the entry area. We could clearly see that respond. Right, here they are. Then, Loadout Tarmac. I do believe that's on the ground. Let's turn those off. Cargo compartment. Okay, now they're off. Gives us a chance to have another look at the model of the lights. So let's just move up there. I want to see that for a second. Like, that's a pretty well done model. I mean, you can see the edges, but taking into account, what's that? Had a couple of okay, well, that's fine. Remember, guys, this is a work in progress version, so this is a beta. Okay, and some containers over here. Let's just go all the way to the back of the plane. I want to see what we can find over there. Okay, not much it seems. Alright, that's fine. And straight back into the cockpit. And we arrive just in time to see the deceleration happen. So let's turn the altitude down. We'll go all the way to 3000. Set QNH. QNH 1013 is cross-checked, passing 10,520 now. Checked. Speed is coming back. Let's see how the deceleration progress is going to go. I got a message down there. More drag. Nope. You ain't gonna get that. Okay, deceleration progress does seem quite nice to me. Reaching 250 knots, just above 10,000. But we are slightly above our vertical deviation there, so we do seem to be quite spot on to me. That is okay. And further down we go, recatching the profile, I do hope. Passing 10,000. Okay, lights coming on. Signs are on, and the pressurization is looking good. Okay, cool. Speed is going slightly above the upper limit there, but funnily enough, I did see the A330 do the same thing. Like 5 knots above maximum, or above what is supposed to be maximum. The airplane would do that. So that's quite cool to see that happen in here as well. Okay, I do suppose we go for the approach checklist then. Signs, on, briefing, confirmed, ecam status, checked, altimeters, 1013 set. Okay, minimums, 302 set, ignition, continuous, and landing elevation. Let's quickly check that from the chart. Okay, elevation is 100 feet. There we go. And that's the approach checklist completed. Okay, cool. So, passing fluoride level 80, that's where we are supposed to be. Neat shadow game going on in here. Very neat to see those shadows all over our flight deck. It's huge windows on the airplane, and that is indeed something that really came across to me, especially that aft window here. It's just completely huge. And I really liked that when I flew the A330 for the first time. I really liked the size of the windows, especially coming from the 737. Okay, so we got like 12 miles to U80. U80 should be at about 3,000. And we're in 6.3, that's actually looking quite good. If we activate the ILS display, 20 miles out, 6,200, that does seem quite alright to me. So they want us to maintain a minimum of 220 knots until we join the final. So I'll just keep the speed where it is right now at 250, and we'll just have it come down like that. On the other hand side we can select the ILS already as well. Okay, our auto brake is armed in low. That's good, so we are pretty much all set up for the arrival now. Also, nice to see the vertical speed at which we are flying over here. Let's just put it in a level change to make sure that it actually goes all the way to idle. And then let's see how much feet per minute we are going to get out of it. Anything between 1500 to 1000 I would say is going to be realistic. Look at that, yeah, 1500, nice. Pretty good. So that's roughly what I would expect an airplane with an airframe like that to do. The A330 would even just give you 1000 feet, but this one is probably a little bit less optimized, since ultimately it is of course an A300 and not an A330. Yes guys, I am aware there's differences between those planes. Okay, cool, let's start winding our speed back. We're going to start at 220. Then let's see, clean speed is 207, so I suppose that's where we're gonna go to. 207, here we are. Okay. So, glide slope localizer blue, cut 2, cut 3. Speed is coming back nicely, 12 miles out, approaching the glide slope. That looks very good overall. VNAV did a good job there, bringing us into an excellent intercept position. Lock star. Okay, slats 15. Down to the S speed. Speed is still coming back. Glide slope star. Okay, go around altitude 3000 set. Flaps 15. Glide slope, localizer. Okay, very nicely established here. That looks pretty good. So, now we are established on the glide slope. It's maintaining about 195 knots on the descent. That looks fine to me. Right, gear down. Listen to that rumble. Nice, isn't it? Okay, flaps 20. Okay, and then flaps 30. So let's see, the approach 132. So it'll give me 137 then. So that's looking good. Then let's see. Auto thrust off. Autopilot off. let's see how the thing is going to fly, and most importantly how it is going to land. Where's our checklist? I just wanted to say ecam memo. Okay, landing gear. It's down. Auto brake. Why is that off? I believe I did turn it on. Okay, auto brake low. Anti-skid checked. Slats flaps are 30 and 40. And spoilers armed. Landing checklist complete. So it does fly pretty straightforward to me over here. The aileron is rather weak, but that is what Ini said in their own video would actually be pretty realistic. Checked. Okay, land green. Approaching minimum. Yeah, minimum continue. Might have been a little positive at the end, but that's fine. Okay then, reverse green, spoilers. $70 knots. Okay, manual brakes. And we're going to vacate to the right. So, runway is vacated. Let's make sure we get the entire airplane clear, and then we can go ahead and do our after landing. It is a large airplane, isn't it? Now we're all clear. Okay, so strobe light auto, nose light taxi, landing lights going off. We'll keep the turn off lights on. Anti-ice not needed, ignition off, APU master coming on, APU starter coming on. Then ground spoilers disarmed. Transponder in TCAS, we'll use it on XPDR only. Radar going off, slats and flaps. Retract and brake temperatures. Yeah, 285, 290, that certainly seems reasonable. Bing, brake temperatures high, brake fan on, delay takeoff. Yep, you will have to wait for that though. Okay, cool, after landing checklist. Slats, flaps. Still retracting. Man, they're taking time. Okay, well, in that case, we gotta wait with the after landing checklist for a bit. Cancel that, and we are going to clear the brakes. Okay, cool. Then we'll just take the gate directly in front of us. Any of those cargo stands here is going to work, I have a feeling. And if we're about to turn into a gate, we'll also turn that stuff off. APU is available, good. Rather hard to see anything up there, but something like this is probably gonna work for the turn. So a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, let's see what the brake temps are like now. 325 and already cooling down. Okay, that's perfect. So after landing checklist real quick, sled flaps retracted, transponder as required, weather radar off, spoilers disarmed, APU started, after landing checklist complete. Alright, APU is available, then we can go ahead and shut it down. So APU bleed on and start levers off. Okay then, stop the elapsed time. Okay. Beacon coming off, cabin pressure is 0, seatbelts coming off, fuel pumps. Our off, propede is off, and brake fans. Let's see, where are the temperatures now? Where's my wheel page? Here it is. 320, yeah, that's okay. Not too hot, not too cold. Okay, parking checklist. APU bleed on, engines off, differential pressure 0. Lights and signs, so off and off. So fuel pumps off, window and propede off, and parking brake or trucks, brake set, parking checklist complete. So let's go ahead and get ourselves some ground equipment again. We're going to get the trucks in position so that we can release our brakes. We'll get the stairs and we'll get the ground power unit as well. Here we go. So ground power is connected. With that we can shut the APU down as well. Then we also don't need that fuel pump anymore. Funnily enough, I just opened the door with the slide still armed, but that is work in progress in the version that I'm flying, so don't be surprised. We did not shoot a slide there. It is work in progress. Alright guys, and that's it, our first flight with the iniBuilds A300-600 in the freighter version. I do hope you liked this one. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the airplane, and let me know how much you like all the improvement you've got on this one from the earlier A310. I'm really looking forward to your feedback. In the meantime, I have to say that I do really like the airplane. It is very nice to have the A300 as well now, since the 310 was a bit of a version that we couldn't fly too much. The 300 with all the additional features is a really refreshing thing. By the way, talk about all the features. Let's just go down and have a look at the wheels to see if my landing left any marks. So this is what they look like now, but looks like the wheels are still fine. So I do have to say that, yeah, well, no, okay, that was just a reflection. For first moment I thought I'd scraped some rubber off over here, but looks like I didn't. Okay, so the wheels actually took the landing quite well, and if we are totally fair, then it wasn't too hard of a landing. It just was a typical freighter landing, let's put it that way. Alright guys, so that's gonna be it for today. I do hope you liked it. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like button in YouTube as well, as it does really help with the algorithms. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'm hoping to see you all again very, very soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy the A300, I'm sure you will, and then we see you all again on the next one.